Well, I'm not going to say one or the other that way, on Mr. Barr, but, that's the status of it. And then again, before I would do anything like that, I would have to consult my wife and my family because I don't know if they're up for it. And I'll be honest with you, Alex, before any elected job, I put my wife in front of it. That's one of the reasons I did not seek re-election for a second term as governor. I could have won. There's no doubt in my mind I could have been reelected probably as many times as I would have desired. The Republican Speaker of the House, even off the record, told me that when I was in office. He said, there's nobody in Minnesota that'll beat you. He said, you can be governor as long as you want, but I'm not that way. I'm a throwback. I believe that when you go and serve, and then when you're done serving, go back to what you used to do. That you should not make a career out of it, that's one of the downfalls of our country, is that all of these elected people, they're all career politicians. And when one becomes a career politician, then you're making decisions to benefit your career, which may not be the right decisions to benefit the country. And that's the situation we're in. And, of course, with the Democrats and Republicans, they don't give a damn about the country. All they care about is their party, their power, and whoever they serve, which is, of course, their corporate donors and big money.
Let me go over a few of those numbers, Governor. This is an article, 12 Facts About Money in Congress That Are So Outrageous, It's Hard to Believe They Are True. Up at Infowars.com, we have links in this article to all of the mainline statistics. The collective net worth of the members of Congress increased by 25% between 2008 and 2010, as the rest of the collective wealth went down. Number two, the collective net worth of all members of Congress is now slightly over $2 billion. That is a billion with a B. Number three.
Hey, wait a minute. If they're paid government employees, how could their wealth go up if they're on a fixed salary?
Well, that's why they'll spend 50 times what it pays to get the job.
Gee, are they getting money on the side somehow?
Yeah, let's continue.
Okay.
Number three, this happened during a time when the net worth of most American households was declining rapidly. According to the Federal Reserve, the collective net worth of all Americans decreased by 23% during the same period. So there's one up more than...
Let me add this to it, too. All you hear about from Republicans in Congress is government Obamacare, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, then... here's what I propose. I propose that every citizen in the United States should have the identical health care as the Congress gets.
Oh, that's right. They're exempt from all their own laws to get their own health care.
Yeah, and what is it? It's government-run health care. So when you hear Michelle Bachmann screaming about Obamacare, remember, she has government-run health care that serves her family just fine.
That's right. Ron Paul has refused it, by the way.
Well, okay, Ron's an honorable man.
Exactly. No, I was just...
But the point is, there's your fine example, that the Congress gets benefits you don't get. They get health care. You think they're worried at all that half of this country can't even go to the doctor because they have no health care? What do they care for? They have theirs. And theirs is government-run. So when you hear all these Republicans sit and condone or berate government-run health care when they have it, that's the height of hypocrisy.
You're right. Here's a couple more. I won't read them all. Number four, the average net worth of a member of Congress is now approximately $3.8 million. Number five, the net worth of House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi increased 62% from 2009 to 2010. Boy, talk about cashing in. The top Republican in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, saw his net worth grow by 29% from 2009 to 2010. He is now approximately worth $9.8 million. Number seven, more than 50% of the members of U.S. Congress are millionaires. It just goes on, but enough of that, Governor.
That doesn't necessarily make them bad.
No.
I mean, that's what America's about. Let me be clear on that, But the point is, if it's a level playing field.
Yes.
And if they're acquiring their money in an honest manner, and they're not selling their souls to rock and roll, which is what these people... the first thing that I would do if I became president of the United States, you know what I would attempt to do?
Tell me.
I would take away retirement. Because when you do public service, you should not get a retirement for it. That's what you ought to look into too, Alex. Look into the retirement of these congressmen and the huge parachutes they get for their time in office.
There are some small town people in small town government getting $800,000 a year in California. Gov, there's so much to cover, and we're running out of time. I want to go back to during the break. You were
Do you think that would be a good idea as president? Take away all retirement. You're supposed to be doing public service. When you do public service, there shouldn't be a retirement plan.
Well, I know it's certainly turned the government into a mafia, but Gov, going back to during the break, you were really on fire talking about what the TSA is, where this country's going, the media lying about what you said. Throw down the gauntlet. I mean, you've got the floor.
You know, again, the TSA to me, you know, the workers out there. I mean, these are $10 an hour workers. These are people that are not highly trained. They're not highly trained at all to do what they do, and it's a complete abuse. People that work at the airports, they don't have to go through this screening. It's only the passengers that do. And I would love to see people boycott the airlines. I would encourage people, if you get the chance, don't fly. Don't participate in this martial law that's going on at our airports. Because if you want to know what martial law is, go to an airport. Go to an airport. All you're going to see are guards, armed guards, walking everywhere, and you being frisked and patted down and treated like a prison asylum. And that's what our airports... I live in Mexico half the year, and I have a lot of friends down there that come from Europe. They avoid the United States like the plague. They avoid it because it's like going into East Berlin. They tell me that. Is that what our country should stand for? We, the bastion of freedom, and we're supposed to stand for this lockdown? You know, all over the pretense that they're keeping us safe? Keeping us safe from who? I would say we need to be kept safe from them.
Well said. That's what I told the TSA guy. I'm like, how do I know you're not a terrorist? You guys get caught stealing and doing all this stuff constantly.
I'm not going to get into individual things the TSA does. The TSA is there because our elected officials in government, George Bush and the Patriot Act, put them there.
You're right.
And the TSA and Homeland Security. Homeland Security is a federal agency that has the power of the Gestapo. I mean, when I went out to do Plum Island, none of the fishermen would take me on a legal ride in their boat because they were afraid Homeland Security would pull their license and they would lose their livelihood. That's what our government's supposed to be, oppressive like that? Our government is supposed to rule us with fear? I don't think that's what the United States of America should stand for at all. And that's what our government, in my opinion, has turned into today.
Well, you're right. I mean, the whole world looks at us in horror and thinks of us as a police state.
Well, Alex, why do we need bases all throughout the world? What have we done to the rest of the world where we have the need to protect ourselves to such extreme? Obviously, we're not a very good neighbor. Because if you got to barricade your house and put up armament and electric fencing and guard dogs and everything else in the world, obviously you don't trust your neighbors at all, or you don't have a good relationship with the people around you. And that's what it seems like the United States of America has turned into today. We were looked at one time as the bastion of freedom. I don't know how anybody could look when we want to put walls up at our borders. We got stopped. It's like driving around Nazi Germany now. They got stops all over the country when you drive places. And the people of this country, many of them sit back and say, oh, that's wonderful.
Well,
be safe.
Well, you're right on that. The vast majority are upset about it, but they don't have any respect for themselves to file a lawsuit or boycott or speak up like you've done. And they need to understand. Remember Obama at his last State of the Union said, we'll put up trains nationwide, and don't worry, you won't get groped like the airport, and people laughed. And they were already doing it at train stations. He knew he was lying. I mean, this is insane. And then what's crazy is I go fishing a few times a year in Port Aransas and other areas. I've been doing it my whole life. And now, when Coast Guard or Homeland Security now out there drives within 500 yards, people stop the boats and bow their heads, basically groveling. And I said, why are you doing that? And they said, if you look at them, and if you don't stop your boat, they jump on board and scream and yell at you. And I said, really? And they said, oh, yeah, this isn't America anymore. And we're talking hundreds of miles from the border. And they literally, this morning I was driving into work and I saw a bunch of police out doing some highway work, and they were like bugging their eyes out, strutting around looking crazy. And
well, the bottom line is, Alex, is that we don't need Homeland Security. Homeland Security was put in place, in my opinion, we need to cut down the power of the federal government and give power back to the states.
And face the danger, as you've said. I mean, I'm much more afraid, and history shows, a big corrupt government than some guy with a turban on his head. Meanwhile, they just gave Libya to Al-Qaeda.
Well, you know, let's remember what they did to Iraq. Iraq now belongs, Iraq was what, Sunni, and now it's the other way. Iraq, when we took Saddam out, we put Iraq right in line to be with Iran.
Yep.
Now, why would we do that? That makes no sense to me. I guess they know more than I do about what they're trying to accomplish.
No, it's a radicalization program. That they're creating the next enemy to blow up 10 years from now.
Well, you know, again, I stand with Ron Paul. Bring the troops home, end the wars. Let's take care of our own infrastructure. Let's build highways. Let's put our money into our country instead of putting money into the rest of the world.
Unbelievable. I want to take a few calls, Governor, but...
Okay, real quick, and then I got another call I actually got to do in a few minutes.
No, I understand how you got to go right at the end here. And you want me to put you in touch with Coast to Coast AM?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, because I want you to get this information out to the widest audience. I'll call George Norrie at the end of the show and get it hooked right up.
Okay.
Because I'm sure they want to get you on. Let's go, because he was bringing you up last night when I was on. Let's go to Danny in Georgia. Thanks for holding. You're on the air with Governor Ventura.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Hi, Danny.
It's an honor to talk to you both. I'm a big fan of the show, as well as your work that you've done for all of us as Americans. But I wanted to say, you know, I mean, you're completely right. It's been a great interview. And you're completely right. You know, people need to get behind your work, Ventura, and, you know, really support you. And, you know, they need to start speaking up, because I haven't flown ever since I was 10 years old. That was about 11 years ago. And, you know, I refuse to do it now because of all the groping and everything. So I just wanted your take on that about, you know, what do you think about, you know, people getting behind you and starting some kind of movement to get the hotels, the media, everybody to start boycotting and all that kind of stuff?
I would love, here's what I would love. I would love to pick out one day, just one day, and have no one in this country fly that day.
I think we picked that.
The airports down in protest for one day.
Yeah, you had said next 4th of July, but that's a ways off. I mean, I would say we did it last year. We had, you know, no fly on Thanksgiving, the day before, the day of, and the day after. Or if you have to, opt out. And they basically turned the scanners off for 2 weeks because they didn't want to give people a chance to revolt.
Well, you know, to me, as long as people continue to put up with it, and like I said, there's a huge crowd of people out there. Like the one guy said to me, well, I'm all for it because no one's hijacked any planes and attacked us since 9/11.
Well said. Let's take another call here. Let's talk to Barbara in Ohio. You're on the air with Jesse Ventura.
Hello.
Hi, Barbara.
Brother Alex. First of all, we need to pray. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for my brother.
Barbara, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we're almost out of time here.
Not only that, Barbara, unfortunately, I'm an atheist. It doesn't do me any good.
Well, Jesse, on your show, you're investigating spiritual stuff. You really don't know what's going on out there.
No, I certainly don't. You know, but I belong to no religion, and I belong to the same religion George Carlin did.
But listen, Barbara, I appreciate your prayer, though.
Pray all you want, Barbara. Don't get me wrong. I don't stand in anyone's way. If you desire to pray, you pray to your heart's content.
But Barbara, specifically, do you have a quick question or comment?
Yes. We do have a way out of this evil. It's all in the Word of God. If God be for you, who can be against you? Noah was sheltered. Lot was taken to the mountains. Where did Jesus go when he was persecuted?
Well, then I guess we got to vote for Rick Perry, because Rick Perry said that God came to him and told him he had to be president.
Barbara, I appreciate your call.
Which to me disqualifies him, Alex.
Well, that's when he's not visiting the...
No, it disqualifies him, because I challenge Rick Perry to prove to me he talked to God.